Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Here's a little tune to help you remember. Same drive, different day. Don't you wish you were getting away? Pack your bags and come on through. Texas, Ohio, Alaska, we're up there too. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Well, I hope you like my little song. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
Ever wonder where Tropicana got its name? The tropics. And every time you enjoy a glass, you're not just drinking juice, you're taking a trip. Stepping into sunshine and embarking on a flavorful journey into the tropics where ripe fruit is crafted into wildly delicious juice. And the best part? No passport required. Tropicana. Give life some juice.
Never go to the second location. Always trust your gut.
Hello, my name is Chrissy Champagne, and you are listening to Residue, a true crime podcast dedicated to keeping you paranoid. On Residue, we discuss the truth behind your favorite movies, and today we will be discussing the Lifetime Television Network film, Girl in the Shed, The Kidnapping of Abby Hernandez. We are talking about a survival story today. Thank you so much for being here with me today on Residue, and let's get down to some business. If you wanted to hang out with me over on the social media sites, you can follow me on Instagram at Residue Podcast, TikTok at Residue, a true crime podcast, and Facebook, Residue, a true crime podcast. I know I tell you this every single week, but the best thing you can possibly do for any podcast that you love is leave a 5-star review or just a positive review. I love the Spotify comments also. Those are just absolutely amazing. I love hearing the feedback from all of you. I got a 5-star review from somebody named Dr. Trashman. I really liked what they had to say. 5 stars. Honestly, when I watch these TV movies, I always look up the story behind them. Now you're telling me there's a podcast for that? I love the voice and the commentary. Not too jokey, but not deadpan serious. Seriously, amazing. 5 stars. And real quick, I know I usually start these episodes off super quick, but I have to stop for a minute and just say thank you to the Resi crew, because every week you guys come back, you hit play, you listen, you share, you tell all of your friends, you write me the most amazing DMs, and that kind of support is something that I do not ever take for granted. And because of this incredible community that we have built together, we have reached a huge milestone. We have joined the Cloud 10 network, and I am beyond grateful, and I am so excited for what's to come, and I am so happy that you are all here with me on this journey. So every download, every kind message, every single week that you come back and you listen has helped build something truly special. And I want to thank you for believing in this show. You rule my world, and thank you. And as I mentioned, this is a story about survival, but listener discretion is always advised. Girl in the Shed, The Kidnapping of Abby Hernandez is a Lifetime Movie Network film, and it aired as a part of its Ripped from the Headlines feature films. This film stars Lindsay Navarro, Ben Savage, and Erica Durance, and this is based on the true story of Abby Hernandez. Now, because Abby Hernandez herself served as an executive producer on this film, many reviewers felt that the film offered a uniquely accurate and empowering perspective on her will to survive. And this is according to an Oxygen.com article. Lindsay Navarro and Ben Savage were interviewed by HollywoodLife.com when the movie premiered, and they both said that it was important to them to tell Abby's story in the right way. Ben Savage said, "I think that both of us were very focused on making sure we told this story properly, sensitively, and delicately. I've grown up on sets, and I know Lindsay spent a lot of time on productions. A lot of sets are kind of happy and fun, but this was a somber set given the subject material. There was a lot of emotion and passion and a little bit of sadness because everyone was really experiencing the story and really getting into it. But that being said, I really enjoyed working with Lindsay, and I really enjoyed working with this entire production. Everyone was just helpful and professional and really helped us tell the story properly." October 9th, 2013, we are in North Conway, New Hampshire, and 14-year-old Abby Hernandez is walking home from school. Now, it is 3 days until Abby's birthday. She just got this brand new pair of boots. So that day, she wore these boots to school, an early birthday present. And while she was walking home, these boots are starting to hurt. We all know how that feels when we get a new pair of shoes, and she is really hurting. Now, she has walked this path her entire life. She goes back and forth to school all of the time. But this time, a car pulls over and asks her, "Hey, do you want to ride? You look like you're in a little bit of pain." And Abby says, "Yeah, that would be amazing." And she gets into that car. She doesn't know this guy. He looks to be about 30. He looks like a nice guy. He looks like any old guy that you would see in North Conway. And this was a small, tight community. Abby's mother, Xenia Hernandez, is waiting at the house for her to return from school. She never shows up. Her mom's starting to get a little worried, but she's like, maybe she went to her friend's house. Why don't I talk to her boyfriend? Now, Abby's boyfriend, Jimmy, he went to the same high school as her. He rode the school bus home. So while he was riding the school bus home, he was actually texting Abby while she was on her walk. He texted her, "Love you," and she sent back a heart emoji, and that is the last time that Jimmy heard from her. So her mother's starting to get a little more freaked out. She goes down to the school. She's looking for her daughter, cannot find her, but the school librarian tells Xenia, "I saw Abby leave the same way she always does to walk home." So she definitely left the school. So Abby's mom waits until about 7 p.m. Abby doesn't return home, and she files a police report. And she tells the police that arrive to her home that 14-year-old Abby is not the kind of girl that would run away. For one thing, Abby and her mother were extremely close. These two were best friends. Abby was very family-oriented, and she loved her friends so much. Her friends tell police that Abby is a really positive, cheerful person. She's the type of person that loved people. She loved animals. She made friends wherever she went. Not an enemy in the world. And for another thing, Abby's not going to leave her boyfriend Jimmy without telling him where she went. So suspicions are extremely high in this case. At this point, everything is running through Xenia's mind. She doesn't know if her daughter was in a car crash, if she was laying hurt somewhere. Now, the FBI gets involved in this case very quickly, but there are no leads. They have no idea where to begin. A 14-year-old is missing, last seen at her high school, and nobody has a clue what could have happened to her. 3 days go by. It's now Abby's birthday, and they hold a vigil for Abby in the town. In the beginning, the entire community is rallying around Xenia. They have nightly press conferences. The police are constantly giving updates to the public. They know the main thing they need to do is keep Abby's story in the media. They need to keep eyes on this case because the worst thing that could happen is the case goes cold. And that's exactly what does happen. Abby's case goes cold. And meanwhile, her mother is falling into an incredibly deep depression, obviously. And she's starting to become so depressed that she's forgetting to do daily chores. She doesn't want to leave her house. She isn't checking her mailbox. And that is where a clue is hidden. Because 2 weeks after her disappearance, Abby sent her mother a letter, but her mother did not know this letter was sitting in the mailbox. So it's now been a month since Abby's been missing, and her mother goes to the mailbox, pulls out all of this mail, and she sees a letter from her daughter, Abby. Xenia Hernandez tells abcnews.com that she couldn't believe it. She was beyond happy. She was relieved. She saw this letter, but she was also confused by some of the language in the letter. She didn't think this was the way that her daughter would write something like this. The letter read, "Dear Mom, I miss you and love you more than you can imagine. I'm sorry I did this. I've seen the newspaper and TV reports, and to answer your questions, yes, I'm alive. I miss you, Mom, but I won't tell you where I am." And Xenia Hernandez knows immediately, this is my daughter, but this is not my daughter. Now, as I said, this has been a month since Abby's been missing, and this letter was written 13 days after Abby's disappearance. Police take the letter, and they are able to confirm that Abby's DNA is on the letter. Now, the authorities agree that this letter sounded like it was just written to say, hey, listen, I'm okay. Now stop. Stop with the media coverage. Leave me alone. But authorities did not tell the public about this letter. Up until this point, they were telling the public everything. I mean, they were holding the nightly press conferences, but they were worried that if they did tell people, that it would put Abby in jeopardy if the letter was made public. So they talked about it a lot, and they decided that if the victim had somehow been able to sneak this letter out, if she was in fact kidnapped and her captor knew that she got this letter to her mother, that would put Abby at a greater risk. So they hold on to this information about this letter for about another 30 days, but then they hold a press conference and they let everyone know, we did receive a letter from Abby Hernandez, but this causes the town to just erupt in a little gossip mill. The whole thing started all of these rumors, people believing that Abby did this for attention, that Abby ran away and she's wasting taxpayers' money. But let me tell you, Deputy Attorney General Jane Young, she did not like this. She did not like the fact that this whole entire town, not everyone in the town, but some people, were talking all of this smack about the fact that Abby could have just been doing this for attention. She said to 2020, people just don't disappear off the face of the earth, especially a 14-year-old girl. She didn't drive. We knew that there was money at home that she didn't take. She had only the clothes on her back. So no matter where she was, this fit the definition of a kidnapping. Even though the town is starting rumors such as Abby must have been pregnant and she ran away, or somebody wrote on Facebook she is a brat wasting people's time and money searching for her, the town's gossiping, but the FBI doesn't care about all that because they believe that Abby is in danger. They don't care about the gossip. Months pass, and Abby's mom is still holding on to Abby's 15th birthday cake, but the case goes cold. July 20th, 2014, 9 months since Abby Hernandez has been missing. Her mother, Xenia, is in her home in the kitchen on a phone call when she hears her daughter's voice in the living room saying, "Mom, Abby's home." Abby just walked straight into the house. There is surveillance footage because right after Abby went missing, her mother, Xenia, put up all of these security cameras all around the house. So there's actual footage that you can view of Abby walking up the sidewalk, walking up the stairs to her home, and then just walking in. 9 months after disappearing. Abby is able to tell her mother, to tell FBI detectives exactly what happened to her. But one thing she will not tell is who the man was that was driving that car because she is so frightened. She is so scared that he is going to come back and kill her. He said he will kill her, her family. This man even told her that if she sends police to his home, he'll kill those police officers. This is a 15-year-old child now handling all of this information. She's been gone for 9 months. Nobody knows what was going on. She tells police that this man told him that she had to call him master. He never told her his name in the beginning. So what happened to Abby that day that she was walking home from school? We know she got into the car with a man that she didn't know, a man that looked nice and young. Now, once she was in the car, the man offered her a ride home, but he said, hey, listen, I got to make a stop first. I need to go to this Home Depot. And that's when Abby starts getting a little scared. Like she's feeling it in her gut. This is not right. I don't like this guy. So the guy pulls into Home Depot, but he parks all the way in the back where no one can see them. He stops the car, but he's not getting out, and he's really freaking her out. So that's when she says, hey, listen, I live really close. Like, just let me out of the car. I'm just going to walk from here. She said he kind of started stretching out in the driver's side, like stretching his legs out really far, and he was reaching into his jeans pocket, and he pulled out a gun. And he pointed it right at her thigh in the car, and he said, I can blow your brains out right now, and I can slit your fucking throat open. And he tells her, you try to run, there's going to be consequences. He then pulls out some handcuffs, puts handcuffs on her, and he takes his hat off of his head and he puts it on her head, but he pulls it all the way down. He said, just bear with me. I'm having a hard time in my life right now. And Abby immediately knows when this guy says this to her that he is the type of guy that she's going to have to stroke his ego. She's going to have to do whatever he says to make it out of this alive. I mean, he's sitting there with a gun pointed at her, telling her, you know what, I'm having a really hard time in my life right now. She's just saying to him, you know what? No, I mean, you're really smart. I can tell you're a really smart guy. And then she asks him, are you going to rape me? But he says, well, how old are you? And she says, I'm 14. Right after this conversation happens, Abby tries to look out the window. Like she just wants to look around, see if anybody's there to help her. And when she tries to look out the window, he pulls out a stun gun. He presses the stun gun into her thigh and he shocks her. And then he tells her, do not look out this window. Do not make me do anything else to you. Did that hurt? Did that really hurt you? He's asking her all these questions. He wants to know if it's painful for her. So she's a smart girl. She's looking around. She's trying to figure out where they are. She knows that they're driving out of Conway, but she also knows that she's got her cell phone in her pocket. So she knows that the cops will be able to trace that. She's being tracked. But he takes her phone away from her, and she said he just puts it in one hand and starts squeezing it, and she can slowly hear it breaking in his hand. And he's like, no one's going to find you. So they're driving out of Conway. They're driving into the mountains, and she realizes that he's purposely avoiding traffic lights because he knows there's cameras in the traffic lights. So this starts making her just go crazy inside of her mind, like, oh my God, he's taking away every possibility that I have to be found. She thought that if she started singing in the car, that maybe this would help her. Maybe this would make her a little more human to him. But she also felt like if she sang Amazing Grace, that it would make her feel like God was closer to her, that she had some kind of protection at this point. And there's one thing about Abby that I find fascinating and I love is that she really loves music. She loves classic rock. Her favorite musician is Tom Petty, and she will use music quite often to get through this situation. So in this instance, she's singing Amazing Grace, and she's just using it as a comfort tool. But he says to her, oh, you want to hear music? Well, I'll play you some music. And he turns on Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones, which first of all gives me chills beyond belief, because if you've seen Stir of Echoes, you understand why. But now he's blasting Paint It Black as they're driving through the mountains, nothing in sight, no one she can call for help. She has no idea where they're going. After this incredibly long drive, they're in the middle of nowhere, and Abby is brought to this tool shed. Now she says it's like a long cargo container. She's brought inside. It's a really dark room, and it has a green carpet. She noticed that there was a flag on the wall that said, "Don't tread on me." And it almost looked just like a workshop, like a tool shed. So he puts her down on a mattress. She is gagged, blindfolded. He puts tape on her eyes. He puts tape around her head. And then he puts a motorcycle helmet on her. He ties her hands and her feet, and then he sexually assaults Abby. And this entire time, she is praying. She said that she just wanted to feel that God was next to her. Now, he rapes her numerous times, and then, just to make it worse for her, he tells her that, hey, guess what? You're all over the news. Did you know your mom's looking for you? They even have all these press conferences about you. Of course, Abby starts crying. She doesn't want to cry. She wants to remain like an ally to this guy. She doesn't want him to think that she doesn't want to be there. But she cries because she knows that her mom is on TV saying, please, Abby, come home. We're looking for you. After they watch this news footage, he makes Abby write the letter. And she thinks, okay, I'm going to sneak a message into this letter for my mom. So the first letter that she actually wrote to her mother, she wrote the letter the way he told her to. But then she took her fingernails and she carved the word help into the letter. She also tried to write kidnap. But he looks at that letter and he sees what she's doing and he loses his damn mind. He takes the stun gun again and he starts using it on her over and over. He makes her take her shoes off and he uses this stun gun on her feet. And she says that this was the absolute most pain that she has ever experienced. Now, this man who won't tell her his name, he says, you can call me master. He makes her rewrite the letter. And so this is the letter that gets sent to Abby's mom, the letter that said, I'm sorry that I did this and do not try to come find me. Abby doesn't know it, but they are in Gorham, New Hampshire. Now, Gorham is a really tiny town with only a little over 2,600 residents, and they are at a home at 4 Brookside Drive. This home has an American flag flying on the front porch, but when you walk into the home of Master, there is a framed copy of the U.S. Constitution on the wall. There are flags everywhere. I'm talking pictures of flag memorabilia all over the entire house, and there are guns covering every piece of this home. Abby doesn't know it yet, but this master is 33-year-old Nate Kibbe. He is a machinist at a gun shop. He is a man that has always loved guns. I'm talking obsessed with guns. And people from his high school say that he was quite the bully. He was an outcast, but only because people were afraid of him. He was the kid in school that everyone kind of stayed away from. So as a teenager in high school, everyone knew this guy was a freak. Don't go near this dude. But now he lives in this little tiny town, and the people around him, his neighbors, they also think, wow, something's wrong with that guy. You know, the kind of way where he walks past you and you know there's really bad things going on inside of his home, inside of his head, but you can't prove it, so you just kind of stay away from him. Neighbors say that they were frightened of him in a way that they couldn't describe. They just had an eerie feeling about the guy. And when Nate was a teenager, he did have a lot of conflicts with police, and police said that he was actually violent, but in a manipulative way. Now, this man has kidnapped a 14-year-old girl. He has her hidden in a cargo container that sits in his front yard. And let me tell you something that's going to piss you off. The 9 months that he had Abby inside of that cargo container, Nate Kibbe was arrested twice. Once, he was charged with marijuana possession on October 22nd, only a couple weeks after he first kidnapped Abby. And that arrest took place in North Conway. He was scheduled to appear in court on December 3rd, 2013, in connection with this marijuana charge, but he entered a guilty plea and he paid $434 to cover his fine and fees. Then, on March 3rd, 2014, Nate Kibbe faced criminal charges for this assault and criminal trespass. So this one was in connection with an automobile accident with this man named Eric Ray. And the charge was because Nate Kibbe shoved Eric Ray's wife, Tammy Shackford. He shoved her to the ground, and then he subsequently accepted this negotiated plea deal where he paid a $1,000 fine and agreed not to contact Eric Ray or his wife, Tammy Shackford. So this car accident escalated into an assault charge, and as a condition of Nate Kibbe's bail, he has to turn over his gun collection, take all of his guns, and literally just hand them over to the police. This is his beloved collection. But before he is even confronted by police, he calls them. He calls the police station and he tells them, hey, you know what? I'm just going to hand you over all of my guns. So what day do you want to do it? Just come over. You can have them. And detectives say to 2020 that this is the first time ever that someone has called them before the paperwork is even filed. So of course, this is raising red flags for detectives. Like, what does this dude have to hide that he does not want us in his house? Because they arrive at Nate Kibbe's house on the morning that they're supposed to pick up the guns, and he's already outside. Not only that, he has every single gun lined up in a row. It almost looks like a garage sale. And while the detectives are there, they spot the 40-foot cargo container, but they don't have any reason to go in it. I mean, Nate's being pretty smart about all of this in terms of letting police officers onto his property, because the whole time they're there picking up all of these guns, Abby's inside of that container completely tied up and gagged. It feels like this man is always thinking ahead, like, okay, I got in a car accident. I got in trouble for assault. They're going to come to my house. They're going to want my guns. So why don't I just call them first? And if I call, then I'm in control and all the guns are outside. There's no reason for them to just bust open my door one morning and take my guns. I mean, this guy is arrested twice while this little girl is sitting inside of a cargo container. Now, he has police right on his front lawn and they don't know a damn thing. Like, he's getting off on this. And he's the type of person, look, he keeps getting away with it. He keeps getting away with everything that he does. So why would he not believe that he could get away with this? And God knows how many times he's done this before. This case reminds me so much of John Jamelski. If you guys have listened to my first ever episode on Residue, I covered the case of John Jamelski, who did this with numerous young women, young girls, held them captive, and always let them go. But we never will truly know how many more victims John Jamelski had. And the Jamelski case happened before this. So did Nate Kibbe get the idea from that news story? Abby starts thinking that she's going to have to run. She's going to have to find a way out of this, or she's going to die soon. As I said, the assaults are not stopping. And this man has her tied up almost the entire day. In order to even drink water, she has this string tied to her wrist, which is bound, and she has to pull on this string with her wrist. And when she pulls, the water would drip into her mouth from a tube. And she's gagged most of the day. I mean, she can only drink the water when he takes the gag off of her. He also plays heavy metal, death metal music nonstop. It's just nonstop blaring in Abby's ears because he doesn't want the neighbors to hear her if she does try to scream. Nate even tells her, you know what? Let's take this up a step further. I'm thinking that you should start wearing a dog collar, a shock collar. And he brings one in and he puts it around her neck. And he tells her, now I want you to scream because I want you to feel what it's going to feel like. And she says that she barely opened her mouth to just let out a little noise and it shocked her. And he was like, do you see what that feels like? So I don't ever want you opening your mouth. Throughout this entire ordeal, Abby is so level-headed. For a 14, 15-year-old child, she is so level-headed and knows how to play his game. She knows that she just has to do everything that this guy says. She just has to play it like that because that's what's going to get her out of this. And meanwhile, Abby has no idea that her friends back home are still trying to keep her story in the media. They are not going to let this story die. And her friends have no idea that Nate Kibbe is going back to North Conway all the time and spying on them. Now he's stalking her friends and her family. He's keeping an eye on all of them, making sure that nobody is on to him. Even though Nate tries to act tough, kidnapping 14-year-old children and locking them up in cargo containers, the guy's starting to get a little scared. He's starting to get a little worried that somebody's on to him. So he takes Abby one night and he puts her in the trunk of his car. He blindfolds her, he ties her up, and then he just drives. And she has no idea what's happening. So Abby used to sing Bye Bye Miss American Pie to keep time. She didn't ever know what time it was this whole entire time. So she said when she needed to keep track of time, driving in the car, she wants to figure out where they're going, how long it took her to get there, how many minutes passed. She would sing the song Bye Bye Miss American Pie because she knew that song was exactly 8 minutes long when she sang it. And if she had to sing it twice, she knew it just took them 16 minutes to get somewhere. So she's in that back trunk and she's singing Bye Bye Miss American Pie. And she realizes that 8 minutes went by and they already stopped. They arrived at a destination. Now she's blindfolded. He takes her out of the car. He throws her over his shoulder and he walks into a room with her, drops her on a mattress. And this is where she would live for the next few months. This is a completely different room, but it's still a cargo container. But what Abby doesn't know is that this is the same cargo container. She's just never been in this part of it. So Nate just put her in the trunk and he just drove around in circles. They were just going back to his house. He just wanted to mess with her mind and make sure that she didn't really have any idea where she was. He even tells her that the door to this room, it's wired with bombs. And even if rescuers tried to break down the door, if she tried to run and escape, that she would trip a wire that would cause the whole entire place to catch on fire, and then Abby would burn to death. But of course, he was lying to her again. The explosives that he had on the door, they were fake. Now, as time is going on, Abby starts to become a little closer to Nate, and he's trusting her a little more. He's spending a lot more time inside of the cargo container with her. I mean, this girl has been tied up inside of this cargo container. She doesn't have windows. She never gets to go outside. She's tied up. She's wearing a diaper. And now Nate starts to come into this room a lot more than he used to. He comes in one night. He rapes Abby, and then he falls asleep in the bed with her. And she wakes up, and she doesn't have her blindfold on. And when she turns over and she sees that he is laying next to her, she gets immediately frightened. She's scared out of her mind because she thinks, this is the day that he's going to kill me. Because he did not ever want her to look at him. He didn't want her to be able to completely give a sketch artist a description of what he looked like. So he said, always keep the blindfold on. Do not look me straight in the face. And now her blindfold's off and she can see him. But he doesn't care because he's starting to get comfortable with her too. There is an interview with Abby on a 2020 episode, and I have that linked in the show notes if you'd like to watch it. She talks about how it was weird, but she did start to get more comfortable around him. She'd been with him 9 months. She was adjusting to this life. Now, he's tying her up one day, and he asks her, do you want to know how I do these knots? I can show you how I do them. So she's taking in everything. Anytime he talks to her, she's remembering every little piece of everything he tells her. He tells her that he learned this technique because it's, quote, what they did to us. And then he tells her that he used to be in a juvenile prison, and they used to abuse him and beat him and tie him up. In high school, he was incarcerated for 42 days and he was put into a psych ward. Now, Abby's taken all of this information in and she's learning that she can manipulate him now. She can manipulate him into thinking that she actually cares for him, that she actually cares to learn about his life. He starts letting her have a little more freedom. So he has a home just filled with books. He starts letting Abby read. And one day he gives her a cooking book. And you know why he chose a cooking book? Because he told her, listen, I think that one day when you grow up and you find yourself a good man, you're going to need to learn how to be a good wife. And to be a good wife, you're going to have to learn how to cook your man a dinner. And I'm only telling you this information, Abby, because I feel like you're my daughter. I feel like you're a daughter that I never had. This man says this to this child. Meanwhile, he is assaulting her every night, sexually assaulting this child every night, and then tells her, you're exactly like the daughter that I never had. So Abby's reading this cookbook, and inside of the book is the name Nate Kibbe. She still doesn't know this guy's name. She just knows him as Master. So she asks him, who's Nate Kibbe? And he just looks at her and says, how do you know my name? This could be very dangerous for Abby. She just figured out who he is. But he has already bonded with her too much. And luckily, Nate met a girl named Lauren. Now, Nate starts spending a lot more time with this woman named Lauren, and he told her that he just wanted a companion. He wanted someone that he could talk to. He also lied to Lauren, and he told her that his name was Jay, and that he had done really bad things. So he meets Lauren at this motel room one night. The two of them hang out for a couple hours, and then Lauren tells 2020 that they laid on the bed. He stroked her hair. He stroked her face. He rubbed her head. And he told her about all of the bad things he had done. And Lauren said, but that's okay because we've all done bad things. And he really likes Lauren. So he tells her, listen, I already paid for the motel room. I gotta go, but you can stay here. And here's some extra money. And he leaves 3 $50 bills on the bedside table. And then he goes back to his home. Now, Lauren takes those $50 bills and she goes to Walmart. She buys a bunch of stuff. She goes through the line and the cashier's like, can you just stand here for a minute, please? I'll be right back. The cashier comes back with security and they inform Lauren that she is using counterfeit money. Oh, yeah. Nate's been making counterfeit money in his basement and he's been having Abby help him. And he told Abby it was okay that he's making this counterfeit money because when he was in a juvenile jail, a juvenile prison, they were so mean to him that this is just payback. He doesn't give a shit. He's going to make this money. He's going to use it. But Lauren, who he just gave this money to and she just almost got arrested for it, she is pissed. She calls him and tells him, listen, they were just about to take me in because of this counterfeit money, but I told them it was you. So if I were you, whatever you're doing inside of that house, I advise you get rid of all of the evidence right now. But Lauren doesn't know he has a 14-year-old girl hidden in his front yard in a cargo container. She just thinks he's making counterfeit money. She has no idea that she is inadvertently helping Abby escape this situation. Of course, Nate is freaking out. We know Nate. Nate's the guy who calls the cops ahead of time and tells them, okay, you can have my guns before they get a search warrant. So Nate's planning ahead. He goes back to his home. He tells Abby she can have all of her clothes back. The clothes that he kidnapped her in, here they are. Put them back on. And then he said, we're going to go to Dairy Queen. He takes her to Dairy Queen. They sit in the car. She said that he made her wear his ball cap and pull it down really far so no one could tell who she was. They sat in the car and they had some ice cream. And then they were driving down this really desolate, quiet road. He stops the car. No one's around. And he says, get out of the car. So she gets out. She's just standing there. She doesn't know what to do. And then he yells, give me my hat back. And so she took the hat off, she threw it into the car, and he just drove away. She's just standing there. Abby is just standing there in the middle of this quiet, desolate road, and she starts laughing. She just starts hysterically laughing like, I'm free. And she starts to walk home. It's a couple miles to her house. She walks home, and that is when there is footage of her arriving on her mother's front doorstep. Abby says when she saw her mother for the first time after 9 months, that it was the most beautiful moment that she's ever had, but that her mom looked different. Her mom looked sick and sad, and you could see the 9 months of stress on her mother's face. Now, Nate told her that she was going to have to stay quiet. Never tell anybody who he was. Never tell anyone where he lived, because he'll come back to her house and he will kill her mother. So Abby was too scared to tell her mother this guy's name. She told her mother what happened. And Abby's mom is begging her, like, Abby, come on, baby. Like, tell the police what this guy's name is. It took Abby about a week until she worked up the courage to let the FBI know who Nathaniel Kibbe was and that he lived in Gorham, New Hampshire. Police arrive at Nate Kibbe's house, and of course, he wasn't physically confrontational with police when he was arrested, because as the police said, no, he's only confrontational with little girls. But a man his size comes to his house to arrest him, and he's like, yes, sir. There will be no trial. Nate Kibbe pleaded guilty to numerous charges, including kidnapping and sexual assault. He pleaded guilty to 7 of 180 charges, and he was sentenced to 45 to 90 years in prison. The man is sentenced to 90 years in prison, and people in town are still saying, nope, don't believe Abby. There's evidence galore that this little girl was kidnapped. And people are like, don't believe her, refuse to believe it. It will always blow my mind, the victim blaming that we talk about so much on this podcast. We've talked about it before in other cases where victims are returned home. They survived some of the most horrible things that you'll ever hear in your life, and people are still assholes about it. Today, Abby Hernandez lives a very private life. She works as a successful hairdresser, and she is a devoted mother to her son. Abby was interviewed by Good Morning America, and she wanted to share her message to others who have survived extreme trauma, saying, just don't lose hope. Even when you feel like you've lost everything, hope is something that nobody can take away from you, and just keep that, and it'll keep you going. Lindsay Navarro, who played Abby Hernandez in the Lifetime movie Girl in the Shed, she spoke with Oxygen.com and said that Abby looked at this situation and thought, I need to get him to trust me. And he is a human being, and I need him to see me as a human being. She was doing what she needed to do for survival. She is full of compassion in that way, and it helped her survive this situation. And I think it's wonderful that her faith was so powerful. That is something that gave her courage to keep fighting as she was facing such horror every single day in her captivity. Prayer was so close to her heart, and she believed that she would be able to see her family again. How can you not be inspired by her? She is so right, because Abby is such a badass. Abby is a survivor. And Brad Garrett of ABC News said, if I was going to write a textbook about how victims should deal with abductions, the first chapter would be about Abby Hernandez. Thank you so much for being here with me again this week on Residue. To join me back here next week, don't forget to hit that follow button. And until then, stay safe and stay paranoid. Residue is created, hosted, written, researched, edited, and produced by me, Chrissy Champagne.